Okay, so somebody asked about this time frame issue, and I know when I started trading, I said, "Well, gosh, that looks great there, and look at it over here on the 15. There's more setups, and there's more, but there's a lot of things that go terribly wrong on the 15 and the half hour that on the monthly and weekly look completely like it. The chances for those anomalies is less likely because there's less data points. You can go to some brokers that have 6-second charts, bar charts, and you could trade that and make so much money. The spread, I'm talking about like, I don't know, that broker still lets you in from the States, that Dusk Copy from Switzerland. They have a CurrentX platform lets you trade a 10-second bar chart. So you get 6 bars a minute. I went in there once years ago, and I didn't have $100,000 of deposits, so I just thought, well, I traded commodities up to that point, and I really had never done any click trading, I'd call it. I guess the Americans were doing the E-Trade, and that was electronic trading on these kind of squirrely Java platforms, which that was probably FXCM was a real mess. TradeStation was great, and I used that for commodities for years. $2,000 platform. Never really owned it. Had to have a parallel port dongle to prove every month that you owned it, if you can imagine. Now you can, MetaTrader's free, so there's no excuse for not making money. For what I spent for the platform, TradeStation, $2,000, I could have opened up a fucking trading account. But I had to have $5,000 in my trading account to trade commodities. The minimum was a broker right out of Chicago. You need like $3,000. But even at that, you needed $500 in your account to trade 5,000 bushels of corn. So what's the fucking point? You can open up a Forex account with $500, and if you don't lose your mind, you can make $1,000 a month, right? Come on, if you can't bring that account to 1,000, I mean, make $500, right? Make $100 a month. I mean, why kill yourself, right? $500 account making $100 a month. Seriously, if you can't do that, for God's sake, stop trading. And I say that only because of the leverage, right? You're not taking the whole 500. You could not, I don't know what the leverage, the margin requirements, the funniest thing is that it was like 20 years ago when palladium went through the roof from $80 to $1,500 because Ford Motor had, people had bought it up. They actually thought it was cold fusion or some bullshit. This is the fundamental news that was out. This is like Bitcoin, what's happening right now. So time frame. The situation is that if you could live forever, you would trade the monthly chart. And how long would you wait for a setup on the monthly? Here is the euro dollar to the US dollar cross rate. And take a look at this thing. Right? This is the dumbest fucking chart you ever saw, right? Is this support? This exists. Remember, it was going to par. Is it going to par? No, it could still go to par. Huh? You got 7 cents to go. Remember back here when this was a perfect trend line? I wonder what the news was back here. Now, tops become bottoms is the question. Which time frame? Because tops become bottoms happen on only the line chart. They really don't happen in a time manner on the wicks because those are momentary flash crashes and flash rallies. So you have to omit the wicks on this chart. And if you say, well, Well, I really wonder what the news. I don't have a newspaper handy, but and of course this is would just debunk all fundamental analysis if you did monitor the news during these phases and see, well, what was the news here? It didn't matter. In fact, it was completely had nothing to do with it. There's no correlation between this fund. I don't think so. Bill Williams, who's a guy that has thought this over a million times, um, he said that after this move, the news comes out. Like so, Trump becomes president. We have to have a scandal. You know, people have to have a backstory. World Trade Center goes down. Oh, inside job. Gotta make money. You know, so you have these people that want to think that coincidence is causality. Just because you got up in the morning and drank coffee did not make the sun come up. But I don't know. I guess IQs are low. People are under this shit, right? It's some kind of, I don't know if it's just all clickbait, right? You know, we're kind of hoping it's clickbait because you're like, are people this fucking stupid? So top bottoms here, there's less top bottoms to even document. Here's a perfect top bottom. It's like, where's Waldo? And why is this happening? Because people that don't trade with stops, these hedge funds or whatever you call them, these huge, slow, big money, it just grinds. It's the war of attrition. The market's been called. This is why price moves the way it does. It's grinding. It's always grinding. This guy said in the video, it's grinding higher. Yeah, it's grinding, but as it's grinding, shit's flying off it. Those are the wicks. In the end of the day, at the end of the month, this market's not going any fucking where. So to trade the wick is get rich quick, right? That's why it rhymes, right? Get rich quick, trade the wick. Because that fucking trade, boom, it's over. On the monthly chart, like if you stripped off the wicks, which is almost taken off here, now it's about time frame. Now you gotta have some, this is the kick drum of the market. The wicks are nothing but like crash cymbals. The kick, the beat, the rhythm of this market, you have to have your timing down. Well, you can't time the market. Well, you sure can. It's called momentum. Now, there was no top bottom to board this southern train. There's no way you were going to get on here unless you just kept on doing a turtle trade. Turtle traders, their system was a trend. You put a sell stop in. You put a sell stop in. You run a trailing protection. Never stopped out of this motherfucker for how long? Now, you're selling into this. And people are like, yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. It's out of context. Is this the triangle that caused it? Well, my contention is that this lack of price discovery, like we have not, this is uncharted water. The ship has gone here. The wind is blowing the other way for whatever reason. If your people are whipping out these Fibonacci garbage and this under the pretense that Mother Nature is built on the golden ratio. It's really the golden ratio concept taken to extreme. It's the ratio. The golden ratio inside the golden ratio is what Fibonacci is, right? You just keep on coming down to the smaller fractals. So, you know, like they're saying, well, it's because if you look at Mother Nature, you see this thing in the market's natural phenomena. So therefore, right? You ever seen a tree fall down? So maybe this is a tree falling down, and it grew, and it's old. And so whatever in this, what is this? This is reaccumulation. Or maybe it's going to keep tanking. It's kind of hard to believe that's going to happen only because the world's getting smaller. Why is it at this price even now? Because of the world's syncing up in a way. Possibly, right? The pound is at a discount. Everybody's kind of getting into a more liquid. The markets are becoming more liquid, and now the maybe the volatility. Of course, there's always going to be, if you're on a 1 minute chart, volatility is a different world than the monthly, naturally, right? But look at this thing. And so if you were trying to, if all your systems were, so you built a robot that takes advantage of this move on the monthly time frame. On this time frame, he's getting his ass clobbered. But if it's true that even this is not easy for a trend bot to trade. I might have put too much stuff on that screen, but this is a range. This is really not going anywhere. Like if you're a trend trader and you're like, oh, this thing's going, every one of these is a false start chop out. In fact, these wicks, if you're using any type, if you can't afford to trade without stops, you're getting crushed. So you have to look for what time frame and how long you're going to live. If you're 20 years old, maybe you want to start trading the monthly chart, because you could have loaded up on this double bottom down here. In fact, you could have bought this. You only know this bottom. So there's also, other than tops become bottoms, there's bottoms become bottoms. Now this sounds like childish stuff. Tops become tops. They call it double top. But it's how you trade that. If you'd sold this double top here with a stop here, they stopped you out and you missed out on this move. I don't know if you barely see that. I gotta zoom in. So another thing is to fix the scale too. What is your target for pips, right? So if you fix the scale, now you can stretch this out. It's 100 pips on these big things. Now you would have never guessed. Now you're living in this world. So imagine that other world doesn't exist. There's nothing you can do about that move that you missed on this short side. So you have to live down here for the last almost 2 years. And this is quite a world of buy new lows and range trade this and just complete reversal city. It really doesn't get any better than this for the range traders' point of view. This may seem like, and when it was here, I don't know if anybody traded this. It's like when the yen was doing this. You talk about an edge in the market. Look at you're talking about a window here. Now, it's just like that Bitcoin trade I did where I sold the top of that. And by the way, the broker's not online. He won't let me log in. I can't even get the platform. The problem with MT4 is it's really empty. It's sitting inside of a shell that's connected to the internet now. It's not even a standalone thing anymore. So if it can't connect, it's frozen. You can't even close it down. You got to force the. So look at this 20 pip window here. 10 pip from the wick. There's a 10 pip window down here. Now I know it's astonishing. Can you imagine the ratio there? If you bought $1 zillion right here and you have a stop here, how did you know that was the place to buy? Well, you kind of knew because you have to buy new lows. If you are a trader, when stuff is on sale the second time around, so, the early bird gets the worm and the second mouse gets the cheese because, that's that tight window. Now look at this. How much money is this? You're trading here now? Like, just really try to think about that. It's a lot of money, right? And you can't even see, like, if you told somebody, well, I bought down here, like, same story here. Why buy new lows, right? Why buy new lows? Because it's the dumbest trade you'll ever do. This, you would need, if you put a 50 pip stop on that, how much money did you make? Even this stuff here, if you had a big enough stop, and then same story on the top side. Now I'm talking about the auction entries, but the top become bottom stuff. The problem there is you're not going to get a top become a bottom on this chart. I don't see one. I just don't. I see bottoms become bottoms and tops become tops. So that doesn't always hold up. Now this is the top inside the bottom. I would be looking to buy there if we ever made it back there. How long are you going to wait for this thing to go through some machination here and then finally come back? We can't over speculate in the time. If we just traded the next move coming up, then we would be true order flow traders because we'd be going with what's happening right now. And this may fill at some point, but you can best believe it's going to be quite a rocky road before that it'll never be like this. Another reason why you don't want to trade these cipher patterns is it gives you an unrealistic expectation of, well, it's going to move like that. It's not going to move like that. It's going to move like this, and it's going to go like this, and maybe it'll end up there. But you're going to get crushed. Better you should trade triangle breakouts. Better you should trade volatility. Look at the low months. Just pick out the low. There's two views in the market. There's how much it's vibrating up and down. And that's where you get top become bottoms. Because if you go look at anything that bounces, you can go to this Wolfram site and you can download these. I think I'm CDFs instead of PDFs. They're manipulatable little programs. You can just watch an object bounce. It does the same thing. And when it's trending, when something is, you'll see tops become bottoms in data from just government data, like just population growth, migrations. You'll see, if you plot all that data, you'll see those patterns show up. That's what the guy that was doing the guy was interviewed about using this fast computer to search for setups. And he said that if you look around you, it's pretty much, it is nature, but you just can't go outside with a Fibonacci tool and put it on a tree. It's not going to work. Trust me, the way the veins come out of a leaf is so organic that your gauge would have to go down to such an infantilely small degree to actually make it so you could say, see when I round these numbers off, here we go. It will only exist on one vein. There is no symmetry. Go outside. There's this thing down where the rich people live. They got this thing they put up years ago, and it's this organic-looking tree to hide their utility stuff. These people are so embarrassed that they're hooked up. So they got this elaborate, it looks like a tree. At first you say it's a tree, and then you go, oh, something wrong here. It's too symmetrical. So these Gartleys don't exist. The symmetry of people are fucking measured moves. Okay, right. You drop your coffee cup, it bounces, and you're like, holy fuck, it moved as far as it, one time. These are random market. This is complete chaos. So top become bottom. Now if I switch time frame to the weekly, way more setups. But the question is, without sounding corny, are you set up for the setup? Like if you're set up to pull the trigger on the 5-minute chart and you're like, okay, well I got pendings down here and I'll buy more at the market if I need to. I'm going to buy pretty fucking big because I'm only going to be in for like 8 minutes. It's a completely different setup than I'm going to buy next week. I'm going to hold it for a week. I'm swing trade it and I'm fucking killing it. Now there's going to be temptation, and that's even one position trading, which I wouldn't recommend. The way to survive trading is to say I would swing trade it and I would hold it. So in order to do that, realistically, because if you're going to hold and dump, that's where the money's made for if you're a high frequency trader. I mean high frequency in terms of you trade 3 times a day. You're in and out 3 times a day in some kind of substantial position. And if it's only for a breakout and you just seriously, boom, right, you made $3 million on a breakout, then you sit back and go, okay, I got pennings out there. But hopefully you got another trading account, right? And that one's going to sit there. Now, this would mean that you'd have to be a person with the mentality of an investor, and you put on some trade that you're like, I'm not even going to look at it. That's discipline, right? You're not going to look at it. You just, that's a mindset. But if you're trying to get rich quick, you're going to have to babysit the market. And you can get rich quick, but see, that's another thing, that if you don't believe that's possible, then you're going to blow up the account to make sure that it coincides with your belief system, because you don't want to break that, right? Because then you lose yourself and you wouldn't know who you were. And then you might have a panic attack, right? So I can imagine what these people happens when they win the lottery. I think they've been preparing for that moment. Like, yeah, and then they finally win it, and a lot of these people will blow up their fucking shit. Because they're like, this isn't right. How can I just... Even they might have actually paid the amount into that. That's actually, they're getting back what they paid in. So, this stuff is really hard to believe. It's a belief system. Now, here you would believe that the market's out to get you, because if you put your buy limit down here for retest and they never filled you, you're like, fuck, I had to buy at the market. Now this is when this is happening down here. Now don't forget, when this is what is the newspapers saying? Now you just pluck up the newspapers actually on this move, because this is already established. I would just be so curious to see the headline bullshit for the whole month of November here, and then here, right? And I don't even know what, I'm not dialed in here enough. You'd have to go to the weekly to probably get the newspapers. So here's the weekly chart. Now there's no top. I don't see a top bottom here. You just think that really is a setup that maybe in the 4-hour chart, right? It depends what your lifestyle is too. Like, you can't take advantage of people that have day jobs cannot take advantage of a 15-minute top bottom high probability breakout setup, right? It's a setup where it's just like something's, I think of the first time I heard the word setup, I thought of the old 50s movies. Like, it's a setup, right? It's a sting, it's a bust. But it's just when things I always think setups are basically, when people say setup, they're talking about low volatility entry. Not a lot of setups on a spike. That is for market makers, or supposedly market makers. But we're all market makers. The guy that's trading the setup, it's kind of funny. We're all market makers. There's not us and them. That's complete paranoid bullshit. But I guess it's there because look at everything else, right? Look at the other bullshit people think's true. You're always trying to wake people. You're always trying to wake yourself up from all the bullshit you learn, all the crap you learned in high school, right? So this is the now if we're waiting for. The nice thing about top bottom is you know where to put your order, because it's an if-then statement, right? If this is a top, it should become a bottom. So you put a buy limit here on the weekly euro dollar, and you wait forever to get filled. This would be an empowered trading trade, and it takes some. Now, tops become bottoms in an angle, and this is kind of like. I guess debatable in a way, because now you're starting to get a little esoteric. If you put a line at an angle like here, now you're waiting for the market to come somewhere in time back to here. But as time's marching, this is at a different price point. In the end, it's not going to matter, because in the end, it's about, would you buy the euro dollar if it came back to this top? Or any just arbitrary prices. I think the way to trade this is, you put a buy limit here, you put a buy limit here, you put one here, you put one here, you put a cluster of buy limits here. This is how I'm doing it. This is the, there's a top bottom inside that. And how do you know that? Because the market paused, which means there's got to be a pullback within this somewhere on the 4-hour or the daily. But what if it ever came back here? And those are great trades, because it comes back to the launching pad where everything started. And you could go back here and find, it wouldn't matter. What matters is, how long is it going to take to get there? So in a perfect world, every day you place a grid of buy limits that look like this, say. And inside here are some scalps. And maybe it does come to this. And years from now, you look back and say, wow, it bounced, it didn't take that long. But, look, it bounced off that and it double bottom there, and then it went up. But, it could do a triple bottom here before it leaves the station, before it really ever fills that vacuum above. And it's already filled this cup. This is the cup and handle trade they talk about. But they always put the cup. The cup's either here for you, or is the cup the void, and this is the handle. And they say, get in the handle, cup and handle pattern. I thought that was the funniest thing I thought, well, yeah, and then in the morning that works with coffee, because you have a cup in your hand and you can actually trade that pattern, because you can keep referencing your coffee cup. What the fuck? Cup and handle trade. I guess it's in a golfing pattern, right? Or it's the... But time, the problem with candlesticks is that if you have a hammer on the 4-hour, it might be 3 hammers on the one. There might be 3 hammers on the one. So it's going to make you trade heavier there. Now you just have to trade. You have to put orders out there in advance that may never fill, and you can do that on MT4. But you could never do this in the olden days. You could never call your broker. I mean, you could probably call, if you were trading there enough, put a buy limit here. Or maybe they just place them all. Never fell. They're never going to make money. They'll place them for you. In the olden days. And here, your broker, the only limit here is, does your broker allow you to put in infinite amount of tickets? And, so if you're buying every 50, like buy limits down here, it's a higher it's a better setup that may never fill. Now you go to the daily. Okay, so here you get some tops become bottoms on the daily. Not perfect. Right? So it's the frequency of trading here. Lots of tops become bottoms on a daily. Very high probability. Right at the round number, top bottom. In time. Not in wick, see? Not in wick. It crushed through it. A nearly perfect top bottom. Perfect top bottom, perfect top bottom. Perfect bottom becomes a top. But see how stretched out that is in time. That's another thing, is that, of course, the best top become bottoms are the ones that happen in a very short period of time. Here's a bottom become a top, fails, and then it becomes the monster pivot right here in this round number. At the same time, it is a top. This is a very long top bottom. It's not, which means this is the top bottom from the, like an internal top bottom on the weekly. Now you may not see it. If you go weekly, can you find that? This rollover on the weekly. Not so much. It's really this doji to this. See, it's the doji body retested. And you can tell it's a doji because it's bent here. So that it's the body retest of fair value anytime you see the market pause here. Now, this is the, if you think this is the shoulder, head, shoulder, but see, you're starting to force stuff at that point. What you do know is that the first time we have an uptrend, I said this a long time ago, if you look back, so we have our first uptrend line we can draw. Now, we violated it. That doesn't mean shit, because it hasn't violated this line. Right? So we still, at the end of this month, you can draw this trend line. It's not a perfect, but the rule's there. This is a higher low. And as far as Elliott wave counts, this makes Elliott wave counting, and it also debunks Elliott wave, because if Elliott's a real wave, it should happen. You should see Elliott waves in here, but you don't. Very few. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, Elliott wave is just fucking so ridiculous. People are missing. It's not a 5-wave pattern. It's a psychological thing, like Wyckoff. It's about what's his name? The famous Elliottician guy who, and he's Prechter. Anybody know Robert Prechter? Elliott wave's about, the wave 4 is consolidation. That's what's going on right now. Okay. So if you look at the, also there's, every 50 years, this is the Kondratiev wave. Anybody into the K wave? I think it's 55 or 50 years. Every 50 years, there's a different mode of transportation. So first you had, I don't know, like Fred Flintstone cars, and then you have ships, then you have trains, then you have planes, and those are 50 cycles. Now you have the internet. So what's next? They beam people up? I don't know. But that's his theory. So the waves do exist, but what if all of a sudden the shifts time phase? And so the people say global warming and all this bullshit. They can't accept the fact that they're living in the chaotic world. I don't know, they're just much pussies or something. They can't accept the fact that the future's unknown. But see, with all the technology and all the stuff and all the brainwashing people have about movies, like, you notice movies are like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And if it's too long, they have an intermission, right? People can't hang. But there's this cadence that people are assuming that, oh, by this time, everything will be resolved. But what if that, what if that doesn't happen? What if something really bad happens, like there's a sinkhole in your front yard? Then I guess people run the movie theater for safety, for the old story that everything has a certain timeline. But this is a pretty rugged game here, but I think it's about realizing that the more that you, the more indicators or the more predictions or expectations you have, the worse it is in trading, because you built a model. You're curve fitting to the, and the curve is this movie that runs an hour and a half. You know, some perfect thing. It's just because people are used to cycles, you know. Well, it's the sun comes up every morning, but not in these markets. Like, the market doesn't have that. And the cycle analysis, you know, let's not even think about the horror of that. To see these people do cycle work on top of moving average, on top of Fibonacci, and load this shit wagon of speculation without a fucking trade plan or even a fucking brokerage account, or even the conception, how long are they going to live and how many trades can they do per day, and is this even a realistic idea? Should they just keep their day job and find a good hooker, right? Or how should they live their life? So it is philosophical, because why are you fucking trading? Because you think you're right. And how do you know you're right? Because you took a course on advanced patterns because the original patterns sucked dick, so you had to move on to. So, it pisses me off when I see this stuff out there because I'm just like, you're kidding me, man. How about flat earth trading? Why not go there? If the earth's flat, well, the fucking, I'm making so much money flat earth trading. Well, that would just be vertical, right? You just trade there is no other dimension. It's funny, flat earth too, look at this, 2 dimensions. So we're more of a victim, right? We're more oppressed. We're on a flat earth. These fucking people with this oppression shit. I just was watching Jordan Peterson. Come on, people. Stop it with the, oh, fuck. How about the monolithic? There's one-dimensional. Now I'm really oppressed. I'm a straight line. I'm geometric. I'm a fucking trend line now. Jesus Christ, man. Anyways, so here you can do trend line breaks on. Speaking of trend lines, you put perfect trend line here. In price over time. I mean, the euro's got a lot of people in it, right? This is just nothing but volatility. Now, you certainly wouldn't want to draw that on the Wix because it's not about time frame. So if you care about time frame, this isn't a perfect break of trend line either. So this annihilates that concept here. And maybe this just happened to line up. Maybe this is complete bullshit too. Don't forget, it's not going to make a difference for your trading. Analyzing is not trading. There's no risk in analyzing. Other than your ego, or if you write a newsletter. There was these guys, I saw an interview, and they said, well, we were analyzing the markets, and we decided to open up a fund and start trading. I'm like, why? What it was is these guys, it was a reality TV show like the Shark Tank, but for traders, for hedge fund managers. Have you seen this shit? And so these guys are, well, what we're going to do, and guys like, get your head up your ass. So it's just full. You're in a world full of, marketing and I don't even know why these empowered people. The more I think about it, the more unethical I think they are. Because if you're making, in the other video, the guy said, well, if you don't know what you're doing, then why don't you just give to charity? I'm like, well, why aren't you fuckheads just trading the shit out of the market and giving it to charity? And then why aren't you, they had this Christmas thing where they were you're going to help kids and go jogging. And what the fuck is with these people? I've never understood that. Well, we're jogging for breast cancer. I'm like, well, why aren't you just like molesting breasts and checking them for lumps? Why aren't you out on a date going, well, she doesn't have any breast cancer? Like, you just give. Why you? What? Well, people are going to give because they're really. I don't get it. Maybe it's just. I don't understand the marching and the protesting. I mean, dude, go fucking make it. Go make the world great if it's that much to you, right? Go start a fund. Making all that money. The guy at the end of this, they were bashing this guy. The guy's going to give all his money away. The guy with the building the monster robot. But yeah, there's no accounting for taste, and of course, there's no end to the madness of the guys in the trade room that don't accept risk. I mean, you guys do a live webinar, and the people selling all these courses. I'm like, dude, put a fucking live trade on there with your own. If you're really going to be one of these people that's like, well, this is our course and stuff. Well, step up to the plate, man. What is with the overanalyzed, undertraded fucking $3,000 courses? At this age and state of the being, I can understand dropping $150 on a fucking trading book, a Wiley and Sons, right? And just really, of course, this is why I couldn't make any money, is because I had probably 40 books. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should do a composite of the greatest hits of all these people's concepts, or maybe I should just adopt one guy and go. I think the dumber you are, the better you off in a way, because you would just go, I'm trading this breakout system. I've made so much money. You never thought that, but see now, if the other guy goes, well, you should see this Gartley chick I'm dating. Like, holy fuck, if you just lived like this is the thing with Buddha, as long as he was in the temple, as soon as he went outside and saw the misery, you know, his head was fucked up. He came back in, he said, he turned into a liberal right then. He came back and he said, hey, Dad, what's the fuck is that? Well, his dad wanted him to see a perfect world. But if you have somebody, you never let them read the news, they don't even know what they're trading. Like, you just take somebody and you say, hey, you see this thing? What am I doing? It's like, don't even tell them it's real money. Just tell them it's a demo account, and just sit them down in front of the monitor there, and tell them to play a game called, trend lines and snakes and ladders, and just get them orientated with that, and they probably fucking make a ton of money. But see, this grass is always greener on the other side, but it's twice as hard to mow. So this is the thing. And especially in a world where all your other stuff's taken care of. Most people are so wealthy, they don't even need to trade. I mean, they've got pretty much, as long as you don't have ass cancer and stuff and everything's going well, you're pretty well off, And apparently, because people go to the movies. These people, the amount of course, the price is so high in movies, so I don't know if the dollar count is making any sense to, the amount of people that go to the movie. So, but people have so much free time to do this and that and go boat. I don't know. Like I said, I'm workaholic. Apparently, I see people on the boat. They bought a boat. Of course, a lot of these boats are insane loans because they just pluck your boat out of the water. It's kind of hard to hide a boat, and they can drive their boat and. 3 days a year, they drop that puppy in the water. Like, we're boaters. I'm like, dude, you probably don't even know how to swim, right? Well, that's why I got my life raft, my life vest. But I don't know. Let's not make fun of, because that's why you buy a yacht, right? And then you become a movie star and you throw your girlfriend overboard. So, yeah, Robert Wagner. Are they ever going to bust him? So no, because who would question a guy that makes movies? Or you could draw this trend line out here and make all sorts of speculations, but in the end, or you could even put Fibonacci on this fucking thing. I did a 618 off the top, but Fibonacci works. Yeah, because it came near your Fibonacci handle, but are you really going to put one ticket in? You really think that you're going to nail that entry that good? You're that good at trading that you're going to... Of course, I go down the trading time frame. We'll go right to the half hour. Okay, so explain this to me, and then I'll let everybody go about their business. But explain this one to me. So you have these guys in power trading. They're like, well, let's take a top-down view. See, if you took a top-down view, because if you're going to trade, you're going to enter on the 1 hour. Your top-down view would look like this. This is you're going to do. Let's flip that around. Now, that's not the reason why people are losing money. Big expectations on a big time frame. So here we go. Oh, let's do a top-down view. There's monthly. And you're like, wait a minute, just to back up, mister. So you scrunch this down, but as soon as you scrunch that down, you've just said to yourself, well, I'm willing to risk this much now. No. You're only, if this is your trading time frame, you're looking to risk this much, which is about, you're looking at 100 pips here. This is about 200 pips on the chart. This is 20 pip markings here. The big one is the round number. And the 1 hour chart, if you're a day trader, is top bottom city, right? Now here you got to trade really big, but the problem here now is that the spread is your enemy because you are going to get in so big that spread is going to matter. Whereas if you get in lightly and you swing trade, you're not going to notice the spread. You'll be like, holy shit, I bought that thing a week ago and I'm way up. So I did a video on the sizing. If you go from a 1K to a 2K to a 3K to a 4K on just one ticket, you've totally psychotically increased 400% in my mind. I don't know if that's right, but you're quadruple. And once you go from 50K to 100K, what's the point, right? You've only doubled, but you're trading so fucking big on that one ticket. So to get the Goldilocks sizing, maybe you are in a 10K here, but how did you get in this 1 hour chart? And this is what I'm saying. The guy was saying, well, you're just too fucking complicated in your hindsight city and you're no better than ICT. Well, fuck ICT. Guy's a fucking Marxist, for God's sakes. We don't like Marxists. And he never said where to get in. I'm telling you straight fucking out. This is how it rolls. Fuck this ICT guy. This is a high we know exists, so we put a buy limit there, even though the market's up here. What do we also do? If we get a low volatility bar, we put a buy stop here. But look how that buy limit, now here, almost fill, right? Top, bottom. You've got to buy when it's coming down at the market. If you're bullish, every hour it comes down, you buy. You may never get a perfect top, bottom. It's not perfect. Buy new lows. You need all these things in your arsenal. You need to be a trapper on limits. You need to be a sniper on, if you're going to babysit your sniper. You need to think about price over time. So this is a top become a bottom at the round number. This is a top become a bottom. But you are so down the road. You have to realize where you're at in the story. The only chance to get on this train was to buy at the market on pullbacks. And if you miss this, you could have had a buy stop on small ATRs. So there's three things to think about. Well, the biggest thing to think about is volatility. Okay, you need a volatility trade system. And it could be at the market entry. Low volatility, just start selling because you can run tighter stops. The other thing to consider is limit entry, retest, retrace. So stop entries are designed, let's say stop entry, I'm talking about nearly at the market. In fact, you could just trade at the market in limits. Would be almost better in some ways. I guess it's hard to explain, but look at the low ATR here. This is not hard to explain. This is not hard to see. You have to look for each bar is each moment's unique. Same thing here. Look at the ATRs here. Man, buy stops here, right? If you're not long from double bottoms. So, if tops become bottoms, that's a trend trade. If bottoms become bottoms, that's a range trade. When bottoms become bottoms, the trade plan is, hopefully you got pendings. You should always have pendings at the last known bottom. Even if you lose, you're going to lose. You lose when you buy. You certainly lose when you get in. Say you sold here because it went up, and you sold here because it went up, and you sold, so you short 3. You're underwater on this one. Here you didn't lose too much between these two, but you have sell limits here because you're always selling on limits on new highs. So when I say it's how you get in. Why did you get in? You need a bunch of reasons to get in. There isn't just one reason. Here is the auction trade. New lows. Okay, you're up on that trade. It didn't go to the moon, but you can't have those targets. You have to have a spectrum of target. You got targets like this. You got targets like this. You got targets like this. You got targets for every move. Your full service business. Bottom becomes a top failure. Right, comes up, boom, boom. You've really got to be agile. You've got to be, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Because there's no other way to do this. There's no robot on God's green earth that is going to get in here, ride it to here, reverse, come down here, buy, sell, stay out, come in with limits, come in with limits. No, you got to look at the narrowing range running out of volatility here. This is wave 4 on some level. This is a wedge, right? You can plot this out. You could have also traded that. The perfect trader is trading this in realization that there's going to be an apex and there's going to be a judgment day. The vacuum's forming above, you break out. You need a trade plan for that. You need different trade plans. So the easiest trade plan is watch the market every hour and just keep putting buy stops and sell stops in. This is how you start making money. And then if you wanted to get fancy, you're like, okay, I got sell limits up here. I'm going to sell here, sell here, I'm going to sell here. And now you're cashing out of that position from something on another account, though. You need another brokerage account for that trade. Because if you commingle your breakout strategies with your sell limits, you might lose your mind. So the best way to what Empowered Trading calls the go-to trade, this instead of the fantasy Gartleys, which I think is so funny. The go-to trade should be the everyday trade that you always do, the grind. The no-brainer trade. Volatility breakout. In a trend or not. Now, this is the problem. People say, well, is it going up or down? You can't think like that. Because this could have easily broken here and filled this lock here. But there weren't enough buyers. And we still had a void below, right? I don't know if that helps, but there's no panacea. If the markets range 80% of the time, then tops become tops and bottoms become bottoms. Is what you're doing most of the time is just plucking off these things where, hey, you know, it's support. Let's buy now. Look at, you go below that and you say, well, I bought here and I got stopped out. Because you got to trade hour by hour on here. In the 1 hour chart, even this is too much data. So when the market's open, unfortunately, trading's really like this. If you're trying to make 20 pips, if you buy here, you know, this is Friday, so this thing, we can't trade it now, but what would you have set on Asian session here on the euro dollar? You trade it pretty big on this currency to make it worth your while. Because the spread's very tight, so you can trade big, and the thing is, it's not going anywhere. Occasionally it makes a run, but, you know, let's face it, it's pretty ridiculously boring. It's not the British pound, let's say. And so if you ran a trailing sell stop here like a Gumpster and cancel replace every hour, a lot of work, you get filled. Confirmation on entry fill is completely different than being a sell resistance on limit guy, which is considered to be aggressive trading. I don't know why. Because you can't get any more aggressive than throwing up silly geometric patterns. But you got filled on this. And you've added to the position on this, so you have two, in a sense, two robots with the same, and that's a setup, right? It's a setup for the volatility guys who are going to take advantage of that move, and so are the price guys, because it's really about price in the end. And the longer the market goes sideways, the scarier it is for anybody that's in any position, long or short, because they're like, well, is the ride over? Is the party over is the question, and this is when the trend is no longer your friend. So even this is considered a trend here, this slight drift up. Now you'd have to go to the 15-minute and half hour to find top bottoms that you could have got in, and you really got to be sitting there right in front of the screen for those trades. It's going to do you no good unless you can hit, unless you're set up for the setup with your ticket in hand and your, whether it's a buy at the market with a predetermined scalp. Say you're going to buy, click and buy 10K at the market, maybe by 1K, but then put in limits half a pip deep for, I don't know if anybody's put in limits that are a half a pip apart, a 10K. That's a trade. You buy one at the market and 9 tickets are sitting at limits, which psychologically demanding, because people, you'd say, well, God, really? Like, man. But isn't that make more sense than buying at the market? Because each of those tickets can have a separate exit. Or just buy 2 pips deep. I recommend to get started with not buying at the market is just put an order in 3 pips deep and see what that feels like. It's very counterintuitive. To make money in the market, you have to go against what feels comfortable. What feels comfortable is to do what that guy did in that video where it's like, well, I know this is where there's going to be like a big, but guess what, if it doesn't happen? And your buy stops here because you're looking for follow-through. And it doesn't happen. And then you say, well, maybe I should have had sell limits up there. But no, because everything told you, your moving averages, that your bias was up for the day. So you have inability to see opportunity because you have one view. And this is what they do at the horse track. They put, first time I went horse racing, I'm like, what's with the headgear on these horses? They said, well, they put blinders on there so the horses aren't distracted with what's going on the side. Like you cheering them on, I guess. But so you're trading with blinders. You're going to slaughter. You know, you're going to the slaughter house because it's a one direction for you. I'm bullish, I'm bearish. I don't think that's a good idea to be bullish and bearish because you can't be a trader then. You're biased. I mean, you may see that, hey, you know what? This is gonna get bearish, but you got to be in before if you can see this is gonna get bullish, you got to be in before it gets bullish. If you think this is gonna tank, you got to get in before it tanks. So this is the time to get in the market. People say, well, it's not going anywhere. And then when you say, well, put an order up here, they go, well, that's a no man's land. But so everybody's looking for certainty in a trading system, in a robot, in a Gartley pattern. It doesn't exist. You're just pushing a string in your brain. You want to kill yourself. So, I still don't know if I'm helping. I might be confusing people, but the thing is, time frame. If you go to the 30-minute. And now you got to scrunch up maybe a tad here to find any previous missed opportunities. Here's a bottom becomes a top in a way. Doji, inverted hammer, not quite though. But see, you can't quite make it. And the people that bought here because they said, well, you know what, I'm buying here at support, and it doesn't happen for them, they got to turn around and bail. Now here we're getting to territory in a half hour where you got 2 reasons to put a buy limit there. No fill on there. Maybe your stop's here. This is what you would call one of these Gartley setups. The whole idea of the Gartley shit is to get in on this pullback that doesn't violate this, but it comes and violates that. That's the other. They put this nonsense other triangle behind it for some reason. I guess all this confirmation stuff is just too much. It's ridiculous, right? You can see you should have been long here with your buy limit on the half hour. If you're a scalper, you bought here, and you're probably about to get out as soon as it gets to here. The breakout is your exit. If you're a scalper, you can see this where the sellers are. I did a live video on it. You see the sellers, right? Retest here, double bottom. This is the classic half hour. You cannot have a day job and trade that. So when people say come down to the trading time frame, and the other thing is that empowered trading people, don't they understand some of the people that watch their shit got a day job? I mean, not everybody's sitting in their pajamas staring at the market all day, collecting food stamps or whatever. Some people work, you know, and they've got to, even if you're at work, say you owned your own business and somebody comes in the store, and right at that moment they come in the store, you're at this point in the chart. You have to spend an hour and a half with somebody and babysit their concerns, and you can't babysit the market, and you miss this, say, you know, you didn't have your sell stop in here, and you missed this entry, and you knew this hole was about to fill possibly, and even this hole could have filled possibly, and this is where you have to be a little unbiased, is to say, oh, it could go up, it could go down, and it's very difficult to take both sides of an argument, right? Because then you're like, who are you? Are you bullish or bearish? Like, picking sides is important, I suppose. Because if you're trading the market, now you got other currencies. So you could lose your mind with this much data, right? But now you can see the this huge auction here. Right down into that. Wow. Look at this thing scream. I think they were talking about this in power trading, but it's just so ridiculous to talk about stuff like, well, this is an power trading video. Well, our target's about up. Your target may be this thing. How are you going to get there without blowing up your fucking account? And this is, right now, it's a sell, right, for some kind of scalp back to here. But on the smaller time frame, for the people that don't have a day job, they're like, Jesus, I'm going to, it wouldn't have mattered to the person. It's, you know, time frame's a big deal. And if you have a 4-hour slot to watch the market, you probably can only trade the 15-minute chart or the half-hour chart, and you could scalp something because you don't have time to donate to, or you could trade the 4-hour chart, but there's not a lot of setups like that. There's breakouts, there's retests in the 4-hour. It's a completely different world as far as the frequency of trading and all that. If you're on this 30-minute New Zealand dollar, you just have a completely different view of reality. Here is a classic retest of a triangle on close. The last trade, the only trade, really good killer day trade, was a retest of the, and this is also a doji. Anytime you see the market go sideways like this is a doji. I put a hammer is a doji. It's all the same thing. I'm talking about low volatility, hesitation. If you had buy limits sitting here and your exit was here, and maybe you didn't realize that last gasp, that was a killer trade. Is it a top become a bottom? It's a long-legged. Here's a double top becomes a single bottom, right? But the thing is, you can identify true tops. There's a double top here. This is not a triple top, in my opinion. You have to negate that. You're filtering that's the only filter I'm using, is time versus velocity. So this is a highly volatile move, but in the end of the day, at the end of the half-hour period, nothing fucking happened. It's dead in the water, waiting for this vacuum to fill. This vacuum's already filled. This one's filled, and then some. All the way down to the itty-bitty. And if you draw a horizontal line there, and of course this would be an internal low. You wouldn't see this on the daily chart. In fact, if your stop is here, these trend traders, I don't know how they do it. Say they have a stop here, and they're still long this thing, right? They're still long, and they're like, it's all right. They haven't hit my stop. I'm like, oh my God. You got in here. You rode it all the way to here. You didn't get out. You had a second chance to get out. You didn't get out. Then it came back to here. You shit your pants. But this is the top inside the bottom on the half hour. Retest of this node. You think it's going to go. You still didn't get out. Then you all the way here, and you're actually under fucking water. Are you going to buy again? You should. But see, if you psychologically, if you were long from here, you're not going to buy again. You're just like, fuck. I just spent a whole I could have. Then you're thinking, maybe I should become a scalper. This trend trading's not for me. I mean, who isn't thinking that maybe they should have trend traded that, or maybe they should just have scalped that, got the fuck out? And this is get rich quick. You got poor quick. Why can't you get rich quick? So you get, like, of course you can get rich quick. But what do you call rich? I think they're talking about millions of dollars. But percentage-wise, you got really rich quick, percentage-wise. So some guy was asking me about percentages. Listen, if you got like, it's percentage. It's not percentage. It's dollars. How much money do you make a month? Okay, you start with that percentage. Like, if you're making $4,000 a month, and at the end of the month you've got $3,000 because you're only living on $1,000. That's a good trade. Your life's a trade. You're in that situation. Now you want to go trading. Now you could lose $1,000 a month trading and still not even put a dent in your lifestyle. But what is that psychologically like? Well, you're a complete fucking loser. You're losing $1,000 a month. People say, why are you trading? You're like, I don't know. It was either that or hookers, right? So, in the shame of losing, not to even mention the shame of losing, even on a demo. I can't tell you, it's you can get as upset about losing demo money. Look at this clearinghouse sweepstakes here. Look at the you can only imagine the amount of liquidity that exists right there, and look how we dip in there for that. Now that's, if you traded super large on that, and you got out here, you're expecting this to be the bottom that becomes a top. Don't forget, if that theory is true, then this should be the bottom becomes top. You're expecting this to go down. That does not happen. So top bottom's not a panacea. Besides, on a half-hour chart, if they take that out, that means it's really going to scream. In fact, if it defies this triple bottom, it's supposed to become a top. It cuts through it here. Right? And volatility is going to win all the time. And having orders at different, what's going to make money is having a diversified portfolio on one instrument. Take one currency, and a diversified portfolio means that I have buy limits that start here. They go all week long. They sit down here. There's elaborate scalps built in. There's stuff like this. You have a matrix of diversification, right? You have a buy limit here that gets out here. You got a buy limit here that gets out here. You got a buy limit here that gets out here. You got one buy limit here that gets out here. Now, at some point, some of these swing trades, you got to have to put them on another account. I think the whole problem with trading is this idea that you're going to get really good at trading and you're going to bring all arms to bear on one ticket. 2% of your account on one ticket. Now, that may work, but you cannot have a day job to make that work. If you have a day job, now that's on top-bottom stuff. If you're a limit trader, wick, entry, edge of the market trader on the daily, and you have a day job, you can make a pant load of money. Because you're getting in trades like this. Right here. Sell limit at the wicks. Look at the and this is the bid only. Look at this. Look at the pressure here. Sell limit at the wick. Look at that trade. Are you kidding me? New Zealand dollar. If you held all the way to here, if you could foresee the fact that there's a vacuum here that needed to be filled, and one of these retests, and here was your buys, right? So buy low, sell high on the daily. There's no top become a bottom here. Bottom becomes a bottom. Top becomes a top. Double top. Some people say, we have a double top confirmed. Let's put a sell stop in here. Look at all my money we made. Okay, great. But didn't you want to also be... This takes flexibility mentally. Is this a top become a bottom here? Oh, shit, I wanted to stay zoomed in. Okay, here's another example. Daily New Zealand. Not a perfect top bottom, but this was the... okay, so we have this top bottom that launches this rally on the daily New Zealand. But we also have this bottom that kind of comports to here, right? Certainly these wicks do, and certainly on the 4 hour there's a bottom there. But you're smoothing out the data. This is the only filter is time here. So it sets a 1 period moving average on top of bars. The only filter is time. You need to reduce your filter to one filter, volume. Okay, and I don't mean volume of how many... Volume's bullshit. And volume analysis is bullshit, in my opinion. If you got to look down and you got to do another thing and say, well, how much volume was it? Because now it's volume over price. That means that if there's a bunch of volume, Bill Williams addresses this in his squat. I don't know if you know Bill Williams squat. If you look up Bill Williams squat, that is a low volatility, high volume bar. So if it's a bunch of volume and it's a big move, well, it doesn't mean shit. Now I just watched these Wyckoff guys just butcher the. What do I say? Simplicity is what rules. The crudeness is the power. Right? It's on or off. There's nothing. It's robustness is created out of simplicity. So you have bold, just filters, volume. Okay, this is now. I've been recording music for a long time, and you would think that you could fix it in the mix, but you can't. What you need is the performer to be dynamic. The gear's just there to capture. There's nothing you can do. Now they have auto-tune and all this bullshit, and they got music's just turned into like algorithms. But you've just got volume, and the mixes that were done weren't done with compression. The good mixes were done with the guys riding the console on mixdown. Right? So it's orchestrate all these volume moves. It's like ballet. You get the thing, and it goes in the can. It blows away any compressor that's trying to ride along and emulate human behavior. You can't even do an audio. So just one filter, time. So can you sync yourself to the time of the market? You'd have to capture the grandiose moves, the mind-blowing trades that you would get rich quick, or you'd get money quick. You'd make it like a huge windfall. Windfall. But I think that's the truth of it. I mean, you could say, well, look at this. I put a buy limit here, like you said, and man, I got in this trade, this trend trade, top became a bottom. It's like crazy. But man, there was no trades until we got up here. There was a trade up here, and then, oh my God, it all went terribly wrong, and I thought it was really going to keep going because, trend's your friend. And man. So you gotta get what you can. If you're a scalper, I think you should be three people, right? You should be a scalper. You should be a swing trader, and maybe just two people. You could be a swing trader and a scalper, You can also swing trade a scalp. Like if this is a 5-minute chart, you would have bought down here and it swung up here and you got the hell out. You could be a trend trader, but a trend trade is can also be a scalp. Not necessarily a swing. A real trend like this. Look at the daily. I don't know if anybody was noticing this hairy move here on New Zealand dollar. 2 hairy moves here. This one, which you got to wonder why that happened, and a lot of that's the cause for the effect is the vacuum here. The vacuum here is huge. Double bottom doesn't result in any type of, we go sideways here. And look at this crush. Mind-blowing crushes. We climb the wall of worry here and crush one. And then, of course, there's also the other side, which is pretty big recovery here. Then the walk down burst. So when you see the walk up, smash down, there's a walk down, smash up, smash down, accumulate. This is constant unfolding stuff. Obviously, a New Zealand dollar now, people that sold here on this are waiting for that pullback to scalp to here. Are the trend traders coming in here? Is this the new top that's become a bottom? Too fat of a crayon. Right, is your buy limit sitting here now? Your buy limits are sitting in the euro too. You got pendings here, buy limit. Sells come in here, sell limits, obviously. The bull's target's going to be here. Looking to fill that void, but I don't think in a straight line. Something tells me it could be a rocky road. So even range traders are making money on a so-called downtrend. Top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom on the daily, but it's ranging. Look at the retest here, the kickoff. How is this fucking Elliott wave? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's an extension. Yeah, like hair extensions on chicks, right? And what? So really, price would matter here. What's the trade? Okay, well, if you're long, you're thinking about getting out. If I'm short, I'm thinking about covering because I want to take my money. I want to run, man. It's about making money. Some of these targets will never be met. And if they're met, how long are you waiting for this target to get hit? Oh, man, I slugged it out. I saw these guys in the I'll never forget this chick that did a trade in empowered trading and this is a couple months ago, and Akil says, well, look at, you hung in there and you finally made your target. Holy shit. Nothing, just because you hung in there didn't mean the target was going to get hit. These aren't correlated. Because you're holding a trade and it gets there. Okay, could have gone the other way. Ridiculous. And didn't it occur to you in the whole, this is like a month of agony. Because how many times could you have said, well, I could have just traded I could have range traded that thing in an angle. Okay. Did you know you could have done that? If you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you have a trade plan that's called the ranging plan and you implement that, then you would see this as a range, a drift down range. Yeah, it's trending, and even a trend trader would have kept selling at the wicks every time, right? So look at the phases of this. How would you possibly make money from any type of back testing? Complete fucking bullshit. I'm telling you, back testing is garbage. You cannot fucking make any money back testing. You got to figure out what's the trade right now. Well, hopefully you scalped off of that and you took something out of the market, 20 pips. Your buy limits are here. You don't know what's going to happen. You just, so I don't know if that's helping, but that's my view of time frames. It's mind-boggling. There is no, you have to figure out what your lifestyle is. Now, if your setup consists of really great setups. Here is a bottom that becomes a triple top. Now, this is supposed to be where the sellers are going to come in and drive it down. It does not happen. It keeps banging on there. But there's trades. You should be making money during this phase. You shouldn't be waiting for this breakout. You could wait for that breakout, but this means that you're 20 years old. If you're an old person, you can't wait for that shit. You need to be trading this. You need trade plans for what the market does 80% of the time. How often do you see this kind of move? You don't. Most of your money is going to come from 80%. Like most of your money comes from just this noise. So one man's noise is another man's fortune. And they'll call it noise, this stuff. Well, it's noise. It's kind of choppy. I'm getting kicked out. I don't know if I like that signal service I've been using. And they said go long, but I'm just getting my ass kicked during this phase because I'm getting it really heavy because I really believe in the signal service. So I get in really big on trades. And pretty much everything I'm saying is without regard to size, and that's the other. So you have price over time, and you have size over time. So the bigger you're in, the shorter time you want to be in the market. The smaller you're in, the longer you can handle being in the market. So forget volume. The volume so all the stuff people talk about, what is the volume of the market? What is the order flow of the market? That is not the volume that in the order flow you should be worried about. You should be worried about your volume, your sizing, and your order flow. Okay, it's about you. It's not about the market. You're not trading the market. You're trading your life, your lifestyle, and what you consider to be risk. So there's no such thing as percentage of risk in the market. It's dollars of risk, okay? It's completely ass backwards. Risk 2% of your account. Well, how big's your fucking account? Is it $1 million or is it $100? Nobody's going to risk 2% of $100 to make any fucking money. They're going to put $100 in the account and they're going to try to make $20. Right? Yeah, now you're up how much percent? And maybe you risk the whole account. Maybe you risk 50% account. You risk $50. This is just completely ridiculous. This is like saying you're out in your car and you're going 1,000 and somebody goes, 1,000? What's that? Miles an hour? Or what are you using for your gauge? It's complete percentages are completely it doesn't exist. Okay? It doesn't matter. It's about money. What's 10% of a penny? What's that? What's 100% of $3? It's $3. You got $3 in your account. You're risking 100%. What are you risking per trade? You're risking 100%. Right? You're down X when you pull the trigger. So that's just, I don't know. But I know that the only reason the word percent is in there is because people are doing math on this stuff. But, it's difficult to think in dollars. How many dollars am I risking? I'm trying to make $100. I'm risking $50 to make $100. Okay. If you did that 8 times, maybe you risk $20 to make $40. So pips don't matter. Percentages don't. And pips is percentage in points. So that's why pips don't matter. A guy did a video on it. Let's see if I look at so much shit. There was a guy that did a video on sizing. Van Tharp has one on percent risk. Look at Dr. Van Tharp. I know that. I can find that. Put it in the link here. He shows flipping a coin. And when you do the sizing right, that's where all the money's made. Right? Because if you look at PAM accounts and look at the sizing of, you'd be astounded. Like some guy made 400 pips on a small position, and he made 40 pips on a big position, and the small position could have made more money, And So I'd say the first thing, if you're, and that, where do you start, right? I think you start with psychological pain threshold of dollar risk. Would you risk $20 on one ticket, or would you rather risk $8 on two tickets? $16 total risk, $8 per ticket. How right are you? How lazy are you? Because it's to put two orders in, it's twice as much effort. Deciding where those targets are going to be. Forget being right or wrong, because if you put that in it, then you're not going to do anything. Oh, am I right about this trade? You can't ever think like that. You could never open a retail store thinking you're going to sell all the inventory in that store. You'd be out of your fucking mind. If you ask somebody who owns the store, how much of this shit you moving? If you own a hotel, how many rooms are you renting? There's rooms that don't rent. One room's got a leak. You can't think all or nothing. Oh, I'm so good at, I should be able to analyze, crunch the numbers, back test. So, it's tough. It's just like real life. Do you buy a car? Do you buy a Mercedes and keep it your whole life, or do you buy a piece of shit American car and wait till it breaks down if they're pieces of shit anymore? But, well, they're in a way. They're recalling them. If they're recalling them, the company's got their head up their ass. So what with the guy? They didn't double check. You could probably build remember the kit car, the thing. You could build your own car at home and stuff. It could be 3 different cars, right? That's what you need. The thing, Volkswagen, the thing. But the you have to build your own trade system, and there's just no it has to fit you. I would never sell a course. I would never want to think that people, oh, gee, wow, in other words, I couldn't answer the question that people would want, and that is, gosh, how am I going to make money? Because that would be about if you consider money to be worth something, you can pretty much in these days just live on welfare if you wanted to. Your self-esteem might be affected, but you could get by just fine in this world without too much money, actually. And if you just want to work a simple job and live in a simple thing and maybe rent a room from somebody and live, you can get by in this world just quite well, And if you're nice to people, in fact, you can't manipulate the market, but you can manipulate people. You can be very kind to them. You can be overly gracious, and people will just be like, oh my God, we'd love having you around. You can be a cordial person and get by in this world. And you can live off that, or you can be a scientist and never see people and make a bunch of money and discover something. So there's a million paths, and people come to trading, I think, for the money. I don't think they come here for the punishment. Like, you have to be really good at taking a lot of you have to, but you wouldn't go playing guitar thinking you were going to be good. People seem to think that, well, I'll learn how to play guitar, and I know I suck, but for some reason, they might get discouraged too. But when it's money and you want money because you need money, you're trading to make money. You're playing guitar, you've already got money, and you're like, it's a hobby. But for some reason, trading can't be a hobby. If you go to Empowered Trading, they're like, well, because they don't want you to think it's a hobby, because they want you to sign up with their thing, and they put this pressure on you. Oh, if you're really serious about trading, otherwise just get to. I mean, Akel Stokes say, if you're just here to have fun, get the fuck out of here. I would never say that to somebody. I'm like, get another hooker. Let's put in another bad trade. Like, come on, let's have some fun. The seriousness that people approach trading with. I always like that. They ad in the paper. Only serious musicians need to play. I thought, well, my ad would be a little different, maybe. We're looking for complete inept losers. I mean, run an ad like that. See who shows up. Probably people with a sense of humor, probably people that might be not losers. They're like, I can't fucking believe this ad. Looking for dysfunctional employees. Looking for people that continually show up late to work. I mean, like, I do that. See, now, the guy that's late to work might be, they said about Jeff Beck, the guitarist. They said that this guy would just show up late, but you know what? One take, he's done. See you, bye. But, you know, the bean counters and the producers are like, where's this guy? So this guy's so great. Where the fuck? He shows up, nails it. See you, bye. Okay. But the guy that's showing up on time sucks. So how do you know where your how do you know what the talent? This, you know, movie business is notorious for that, right? Guy's a complete asshole on the set, makes $20 million a film. He's making $20 million a film, complete asshole. So you have to be an asshole trading, I think. You just got to be yourself. If you're an asshole, just be yourself. I'm not doing anything special. I can only tell you that you have to embrace whoever you are. Like, if you're pissed, you have to work around that. If you're late, you set your clocks ahead. It's nothing magic. But it's fun. It's fun to watch the people. What's cute is after you traded for years and years, I guess you just come to the conclusion that, you know, you can't wear another person's trading system. So it would not necessarily be possible, even if you found somebody that was a really good trader, that you would be able to trade like them, because you might find it so uncomfortable. You can't enter when they enter. It probably wouldn't work out. Now, if you could copy their trade, and you have this copy trade system, but when they start losing, are you going to take signal services from somebody because then you have somebody to blame? It always comes down to you. So do you trust yourself to take this? When I started trading, and then I was losing commodities, I went and gave my money to a guy with a really nice office, and it smelled nice in there and everything. And he blew up, he lost $20,000 of my money. So I said, well, geez, fuck that. I mean, I could do worse than that. So I went back to trading my own accounts again. And by this time, there was commuters and computers, and so, but we now are to a state where, man, God, you know, digital currency, online trading, clicking and stuff. But you have to evolve with the situation. You have to learn every day a new trick. Because if you get in a rut and you're playing the same scales every day, you're either going to get bored and start and do something like you need something to chew on. And the market's got plenty of that, but it may be overwhelming. It may be too much to digest. So you want to put a 20 period moving average on there. You can do that for a while, right? It's like doing drugs. You can do it for a while, but eventually it's going to backfire on you, know. So that's totally possible. So, like it or not, trading has to fit into your lifestyle. And timing the market, if you're a low frequency trader, then it's you're that person. I'm not. Like, if the market's, when I heard this was a 24-hour market, I said, well, for God's sakes, let's try to take advantage of the fact that it is open for 24 hours. And certainly the congestion, I saw this guy, this is the link this guy sent me, and the guy had edited out the noisy sessions. He's, well, I'm just going to get rid of it. But that's part of the story. That's the cause for the effect. So there is a cause for the effect. In New Zealand, people would say, well, you think New Zealand dollar is going to go to 73? Even if it does, how do I get on that train there without getting stopped out? And as soon as you ask that question, then you're going to say, well, I would go down to a smaller time frame. And if you do that, then you have to admit you're a scalper in denial. I met traders that's, I'm a visual scalper, right? Because you're like, hey, I'm in so big here, I got to get out. I'm going to take this money and run, and I'm making more money being a scalper. And that's a broad term, but I mean, if you're going to be in the market for 1 hour or 4 hours or something, you're probably a scalper. You could be in the market for 30 seconds and be a scalper. So here's a top bottom on the 4-hour chart, right? Nearly perfect. But not a lot of setups like that. You really have to look for it. But that's not how you're going to make your money. You're going to have to make your money from this breakout. There is no top bottom here. This is a better trade, possibly. If you look at this, here's a volatility breakout. Then once again, this is hard to believe that you get another chance. My friend that posts his fabulous lifestyles of rich and famous on Facebook, he says you can't go home again. But in Forex you can. There's a lot of things in Forex you can do that you can't do in real life. Like, look, it came all the way back to the starting gate. Wouldn't you know it? So you're like, hey, man, we're going to break out and keep going. Oh, really? So it's so crazy. It's so hard to believe. And it's just, but you got to be thinking double bottoms. Sure, there may be tops become bottoms, but double tops work out great. Double bottoms work out. Here's a rejection. The top bottom out of the gate here. Double top. Even the sellers made money there, selling that double top. That top became a double, that bottom became a double top, but then it was over. And of course, here comes back in with these people. So it's a back and forth game. Up and down, up and down. It's almost like sex. But see, look at this void that's never been filled. Look how they jump through. Boosh. Man, that thing's hell-bent. And it looks like you're going up. So you're waiting for a small ATR here. You don't know what's going to happen. This is what's disturbing people. They don't have any certain... Well, yeah, what's the better trade? There isn't one. This is the whole point of it. There isn't a better... Like, if the person that you're with... I don't know if anybody ever went on a date or married somebody and they thought, well, this is it. People say, well, this is as good as I could do. And what's wrong with that, right? Otherwise, you're like, well, this person was easy to get hold of. I conned this person into being with me. God, I'm going to try to upgrade, dump her. And at some point, you realize that everybody you're with has a flaw. And maybe you're just not a person that can be with people. So, and I guess I'll never stop trading the markets because I just think there's opportunity there. But to say, oh, I'm going to stop trading because I can't be in a relationship with anything, even the market, then you're just going to say, well, I'm just going to check out, go do something else. It's completely fine. I'm not a person to give up. I'm too stubborn, so I would just keep doing whatever I'm doing. Just get better at what I'm doing. And but realizing you got to know your limitations. So if you just trade one instrument and have 3 trade plans, then you don't need to look for that same top-bottom setup across. Like if you have this one system, now you're going to look for that setup across, say, 10 pairs. Or you're going to take one instrument and learn how to play different styles on that one instrument, right? You're going to play jazz, you're going to play rock, you're going to play where you retune the guitar, alternate tuning. Now you're just going to play a song written just for that one tuning. And it's a very specific setup. You set the guitar up for that one song. There's hit songs like that. I mean, people do a open G tuning. The whole song, Rolling Stones does that. You just play a bar chord. You high as a kite. You just, what do you got to do? You put one finger on you play slide guitar. Open string tuning. Simplicity. You tune the guitar to fit your thing. You set your limits. That's a setup. A setup is placing a trap too. That's a setup. But in that scene, you are the police. You're performing a sting operation. Get all your limits waiting to get filled on a spike. That's my favorite trade. You lay orders in there, comes down. Here you could have put orders in here, just at the round number too. So I like the grid. I just bought down here. In fact, I bought on the clock as it's dropping. I just anger traded into that. I'm like, oh, this is the pullback. Another thing is that when it moves quickly like this, this tells you, you know what? That's short-lived. I would buy into that so hard, and my buy limits are getting filled here. These are short-lived moves. Anything that moves fast, this is kind of slow. This is lightning fast. It's usually just ranging. And you could trade New Zealand dollar the rest of your life and make a mint and never look at another currency. Take discipline, wouldn't it? Because if you're like, I'm so good at this, I'm going to go trade New Zealand with the same idea. Take the same concept and move it to another currency, not realizing you're stepping into something that has a completely different ATR, maybe globally on the weekly dailies. So it is complicated, I guess. Forget what I said. It's not simple trading, but I think it's about dollars. And figure how much dollars you want to lose first. Write down the losing, how much you're willing to lose, and then the rest is easy. Here's an opportunity to buy the British pound right now. Who's not buying the British pound right now? What, are you out of fucking mind? So look at this short-lived pullback spike. I don't have the closing prices in here. Here we go. Look, we're retesting here again. Who'd have thunk it, right? That was the high line on there. It was no regard to time. That just shows you how time has its volatility is the wick to wick, and the closing price is time. Okay, so in this fast move here, lightning fast move, wow. And we could actually crush all the way down. Don't forget, the market could still come all the way back to here. It's totally possible that we have yet to keep crushing into this, but I just see opportunity of trading, of putting buy limits here, a whole grid of buy limits here, and just scalping off of some of those, and it's just a party. It's a complete pip party. And yeah, there's no holy grail. There's no I can't even. You just have to, because it wouldn't matter if I said do this, do that. People would say, well, I said, what did you do? I couldn't get to my platform. I couldn't get to the terminal to place the trade, so that would be a big factor. But there's plenty of trades, and this idea, this another bullshit thing that it just kills me. This is loser speak. These people that talk about, well, in the summer, the markets just aren't really that. What? What the fuck are you talking about? Well, in the summertime, a lot of people are out, and there's just not. This is bullshit. Why are people saying this? Because it loses, right? They're losers. They're victims. They're oppressed. Well, it's seasonal disorder. Where do you see on the summertime on this chart? Are you fucking kidding me? Look at New Zealand dollar. Here, look at New Zealand dollar on the weekly. Here, monthly. Monthly New Zealand dollar. Weekly. Where is this bad season of trading on New Zealand? Can you see the summertime trades on here? Here's June. This is summer. Look at this monster fucking move. Well, you know, in the summertime, look at summer now. Here's October. Was this better trading? Here's spring into June, July. Look at this fucking move. Well, the markets just aren't that tradable. What fucking bullshit is that? Man, I tell you what, it's just piles of bullshit out there. Just, you'd have to wade through it. You'd need waders. Man, Myth City. Here, I'll show you the way. $1,000 a month. These. I watch this one guy. I get every time I look at a new video, I see a link to something, and then you go to the website. $1,000. At least they didn't do the $999. $1,000 for what? For a couple bullshit videos? My God, what a gold mine for people selling garbage. How? It's just sick. It's sick. If you knew how to trade, you'd be making money. People that know how to trade aren't selling courses. Okay? People that analyze are selling courses. The people that trade a little bit are selling courses. But why would they be selling? I don't get why they're donating all that time to subscribers and it's just, man, they have to hire a staff. How many people do you think work for Empowered Trading? What a fuck scam that is. I mean, you could just die listening to this guy talk about his family. Who wants to hear? I want to make money. And I'm going to give you all that money. You're going to coach me. And some of our people have gone off to trade at prop houses. Oh, they've gone off to trade at dumb shit where they walk in there and they're making 2%. Well, that's considered to be 5%. Is considered to be really good trading. What? Man, set the bar low, huh? Like, you could never make it in the music business like that. You make a mistake doing a take, doing a live show. You forgot the lyrics. This are these people. That's how they trade. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man. But here I am trading. So, and now that I have YouTube and I'm just angry, I'm just on a fucking serious rant every time I turn around. I just can't. Just overloaded with. The more you know. See, here's the thing. The more you know you don't know. But this is the inverted pyramid I learned in martial arts. So the more you know, you're like, wow. The humbleness comes from, wow, I had no idea people are this side of their fucking mind. Like, oh, I thought people were out of their mind, but no, it's worse than that. So, you know, and then there's also the people that, I would say this about Empowered Trading. They don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. Of course, when you live in a bubble of, like, Akil Stokes openly admits that he got into this real estate deal. He doesn't know shit about real estate. He doesn't know shit about business. He's a coach. So he's like, yeah, it's not working out too good. I'm like, good Lord, dude. Would you chase the fucking market in that thing? Oh, you buy some fucking piece of real estate. It was very good. Well, everybody said, what are you doing? Why aren't you just trading? Supposedly you know how to trade. I noticed he took himself from chief currency analyst. He doesn't call himself that anymore. Well, he should, because I just don't get what these guys are doing. I don't understand it. I mean, it's such a conflict of interest. You have to ask yourself, maybe they do trade a little bit, but if they're killing it, why would they buy a high-def camera? They must be getting some supplemental income from Empowered Trading. I'm just guessing. It's just kind of disingenuous. It just doesn't make sense. But I get it. People, you know, they couldn't. There's a slot for them. There's an audience. There's customers, and of course, customers are their own. I still am perplexed every time I come down the groceries aisle and I see people trying to pick out flavored pop. There's so many flavors. There's a pop called something like I don't know. You know, they got these like cupcake is the flavor, and of pop. And I'm thinking, well, why don't they just drink wine? it's flavored, and you get a buzz. You're drinking this pop. Man, if you're going to rot your teeth, at least get hammered. And it's carbonated. So it's trying to emulate champagne or something. Just what the fuck is with this pop? I used to drink it when I was a kid. Everybody in the neighborhood was drinking pop, and I think Dr. Pepper was cracking me up because I thought, is this a real doctor? Did he say, oh, I've dialed this flavor in? Let me tell you, I have a PhD in flavor. And Dr. Pepper had a little spice to it. So that was like a little bit of kind of an edgy drink. My girlfriend liked Dr. Pepper. She loved Dr. Pepper. I never heard of it until I met her. I just thought that there was this red pop out there. But it was like red wine, pre-alcoholic training. Or get some of that MD 2020. I don't know if that helps, but New Zealand dollar is going up. I missed the entry down there at the cheap prices. I don't like to chase stuff. I'd be selling. Next week I'd be range trading though. 80% of the market's range trading, so that's the tough part. Because you really are just, getting little, you're just getting structure trades, just support and resistance, boring stuff. Nothing, and this is I think this is also the currency that, I'll never forget Egil Stokes had a video on this, and he's like, you see up here, it's going to go up here and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And he's like, a big announcement. Look at the big picture. Why? Why do that to your so-called customers? Do you really want to... Just don't get it. Maybe they're not charging enough. Maybe the big boys charge like $10,000 to show you how to trade. It wouldn't matter. You walk out the door, you could totally... I've done it a million times. I just read something in a book. I tried trading it, and I'm like, I don't know. It's not going to work for me because I can see it's a late entry lagging system. Looking for something better. And when you find out what fits the way you perceive reality, then you're going to have to go with that for a while until you can step out and experiment on your own. Now, a lot of people don't want to experiment because they consider that to be bad, but you're experimenting your personality on top of a system. And you can't backtest that. You have to trade that every week with real money and see how it goes. So when people say, well, we're going to wait and see what happens before we get in. No, just get in and then wait and see what happens. See how you feel inside the trade, of even being in the market. Maybe the idea of having your money at risk is so abhorrent and so disgusting that you'll never be a trader, and there would be nothing wrong with that. But you have to realize that everything in life is a trade too, because you chose to go outside instead of staying inside, or you chose to beat your wife or not beat her. So you're always making decisions and choices. So that's all I can think of. I could go on for hours, but I'm sure people have to go about their business. Everybody can always play me back in high speed, and that would just play me back at 2x. There's got to be this, we got to get to a thing where we can put an app in our head and just download books. Forget speed reading. I just want to read it, a unified reading of the whole book all at once. I'm sure they're working on it, where we can just have something where we can get near some part of our brain, the reading part, and we could just scrape a little skin off there. Get some type of chip that has enough enough of a field of microwave around it where it's transmitting into that part of your brain, of focused transmission. It's like, oh, yeah, I just read that book. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next book. Okay. What else you got? Okay. That'd be great, huh? It would save a lot of time. Time's money. And, yeah, so good luck out there. They have this fucking thing on the radio where they keep repeating the same bullshit. Little fun fact, and then the guy says it's some kind of a computer thing, and then at the end of the thing, the guy tells you some horrifying thing about the new world of viruses or whatever. And then at the end, he says, oh, "Good luck out there." Like it's to say, "Okay, I'm giving you a bunch of horrifying information and just gently telling you, well, here you go. I'll talk to you later. Good luck. Let me know if everything comes out good. Don't call us if something goes wrong." But the hand-holding, I guess, is what you're paying for over at Empowered Trading when you call them up and you go, "Man, I just don't know. I think I'm gonna kill myself." Well, that's what we're here for, Empowered Trading. Listen, I know you got in that New Zealand trade, and I know that you got a gun to your head and you got a gun to your wife's head. You bought 2 guns, and I know that well, let me talk you down off the cliff, and that's why you're paying us $3,000 a month, because don't forget, you still owe us a little bit of money, so I'll wrap this phone call up. If you don't deposit immediately, I can't finish the support group phone call with you. This is when you go to the shrink. This is what they do. I went to a shrink once, and not only did she fall asleep on me, but I thought I was getting to like a crescendo of like a very important point, and like, time's up. I'm like, oh fuck, and I should have. Now, back in the day, I thought to bring a recorder to the session. I'm recording these sessions here, take them home and study them, get my money's worth out of this. $80 for 50 minutes. Does that sound right? And the 10 minutes is left over, so there's a rollover. And I always wondered, this is the thing, anybody been to a shrink? The most awkward moment is when you're leaving and there's somebody in the waiting room and you're thinking, are they more out of their fucking mind than I am? Like, how fucking out of their mind? And then you judge everything. Look at what they're wearing. You think, huh. And then, I just if I would have thought of it in a more unprofessional customer way, I should have showed up in some, show up in a toga or a karate outfit. And on the way out, I could look at the guy in the waiting room and he'd look at me like, wow. Yeah, they see all kinds of clients here. Yeah, look at that. Guy's wearing he's wearing a dress. It's a dude. He's not even trying to be a girl, right? This back in the day, I think they would have, you never wanted to dress like a girl. You couldn't be Bruce Jenner back in the day because people beat the shit out of you. Now you're a hero. So, anyways, that ended up it always ends up at Bruce Jenner. I'm still perplexed. That's the trade I don't get that. Talk about the switch bitch, right? That's the ultimate bitch switch trade is the Bruce Jenner. I guess that's something only people in the States can relate to. That is the odds on that horse winning, man. Triathlon to chick. Never saw that coming. I wish we could have placed bets on that in Vegas. That would have been the ultimate trade. But yeah, New Zealand, I'm selling. How about you? British pound, I'm buying. How about DAX? I'm buying. Pull back here. It's just going up. The dollar yen, buying. Okay, case closed.